There is a saying in the Bible, "Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing." I understand this verse to mean, do not think that you have done a good deed, nor announce the action to others. Please explain this verse and if perceived good deeds are worse than bad deeds. There are many great verses in the Bible, but it's getting confusing nowadays for you, right? There are good words, but the deeper meanings have never been explained. When I say this, you may think, there are many explanations about the Bible. They explained it to make it acceptable at a time when humanity's energy level was low. The teachings are different for students in kindergarten versus college. What kind of society is it in this current era? We are at the graduate school level. People should be studying at the graduate level. The teachings of the Bible and Buddhist scriptures were thought to be the truth. They were the truth at the elementary school level. Elementary school. At that stage, our energy level was low. So those teachings made sense. They were all correct. Live with kindness. This attitude was also correct. When they said, love thy neighbor. Yes, this was a correct thing as well. But they didn't explain the principle of what allows true love to occur. You must delve into this when you are in college and graduate school level. But we are currently not doing this. People think that they have done good deeds, but they really haven't done this. If you say you had done a good deed when in fact you didn't, then you accumulate heavy energy. We need to take a closer look to see if you really did a good deed. If someone is hungry, you give them food, thinking that this is a good deed. You feed a hungry person. You think that you have done a good deed. Later, nature will test you to see if it really was a good deed. In the past, there was a time when people didn't have enough to eat. At that time, giving food was considered a good deed. When life was hard and there was not enough to eat in society, it was a good deed to give food. But the society we're living in now no longer suffers from an inadequate food supply. Those who lack food are lazy and not industrious. They think they are smarter than they really are. They pick and choose their work and are ungrateful for the work they are given. Because they keep thinking wrongly, they are pushed out of society. That is why they don't have enough to eat. What would happen if you give food to such a person? You have done a bad deed, so you will be punished. You shouldn't give food to such a person. You didn't make an effort to learn more about that person. You only thought that he was living a hard life and gave him material things. When you give that person material things, then you are actually blocking God's work. You should be punished for this. If not, you will do it again. God put that person in that difficult situation. Why? Because they are complaining about the work that is given to them and are trying to avoid it. You must know that your life will get more difficult if you live that way. That is how God is managing people. How do we describe God? All-knowing and all-powerful. If God is omniscient and omnipotent, why would He not provide food for that person? Why would God allow him to live in hardship and go without food? Isn't he also a child of God? We should have thought about this in more depth. If you help society without knowing the depth of its inner workings, then you will be punished for what you thought was doing the right thing. Up until now, we have been learning and developing. As of yet, we haven't done anything of worth in the world. You are mistaken to think that you have done something to benefit the world. We have learned up to the high school level thus far. We have learned and evolved up to now to live righteously. Your life today is preparation for life in the future. While we are studying, even if we do a good deed, we do it anonymously. Then if a teacher sees this, he would praise that student. Right? But if you keep telling the teacher every time you did a good deed, the teacher will think that the student is just showing off. His purpose was to show off. This is what happens in the educational era, educational period. How should you act in this era? If you did something good, you should announce it to others. Make it known. If you have done a good deed, then announce to others. If you mistakenly think that you have done a good deed when in fact it was not, then nature will discipline you. Nature will make sure you learn. If you don't speak about what you did, no one will know if you did a good deed or are just showing off. When you say, I helped someone, and give something to that person, you have announced your aid to them. This is a deed of giving material things. Let's analyze this correctly. A deed of giving physical material can never be a good deed. Lending money to someone in need is not a good deed. You should not give or lend money to people who are broke. If you lend money, you have to have a reason. There must be a justification for giving material things. What you possess, nature gave to you. If you don't properly utilize what was given to you, you will have a leftover. Just because you give away your leftovers to poor people, would that be considered a good deed? Isn't this just your things being taken away from you since you didn't use them well? You shouldn't call giving away your leftovers a good deed. There is no such thing as a good deed by giving material items. Possessions can be used as a means to interact with society. You give them material things, but if they don't accomplish a deed commensurate with the energy level of the material things, then you have actually given them a poison. Do not think that giving material resource is a good deed anymore. No one has taught you this principle. No one was able to teach you the deeper meaning of this. There's a saying, if someone hits your right cheek, then show your left cheek. I've heard of this proverb. If you got hit on the right cheek, then you should try to avoid getting hit on the left cheek. You're a fool to show your left cheek and get hit again. Are you going to get punched on the left cheek again after getting struck on the right cheek? That is foolish. So your thinking needs to dive a little deeper. Why? Because we are living in an intelligent society. If your level of thought is below the level of this intelligent society, then you will have a difficult life. The consequences will come back to you as punishment. This is the result of not studying. You shouldn't just keep studying constantly. If you have completed elementary school work, then you have to move on to junior high school. Your true study is now the junior high level material. After finishing junior high and high school, you have to study college level material next. But some people keep studying elementary school level material for 30 years. They say they're continuing to study. This is where the problem lies. The teachings in Christianity are analogous to elementary school material. Buddhist teachings are also at the elementary school level. If you keep studying elementary school level material for 30 years, then how will you grow? The world is expanding rapidly. Space and the Earth community is also expanding very quickly in this era. In order to expand, we have undergone intense training by nature and have made tremendous efforts. This is the era of expansion. We are living in an expansion period. We have to live appropriately for this period. If we hesitate even a little bit, then we will fall behind a rapidly expanding world and society. We have to discern properly what is a true act for others. Did we just simply give money to children during their growing period? Did we just feed them food? When your child asks for an allowance during their development period, you should ask detailed questions about why they need it and give just the bare minimum. Why do we do that? Is it because you are too stingy to spend money on children? No, there's no parent who is like that. It's because giving too much may ruin their spending habit. If you give them too much allowance, they will go to Sarak Mountain. Oh wait, there is no Mount Sarak here. If you give them too much allowance, they will go to Mount Sarak instead of school. Then you would have spoiled them. That is why you should not give them too much. You should do as you do for your children. Don't you make an effort to ask your children why they need certain things? Similarly, when someone asks for material assistance, you should make an effort to understand the depth of their need and help them appropriately. This is doing a good deed. It is not easy to perform a good deed, but when you do a good deed, heaven will know. If you have truly done a good deed, then heaven knows. Nature knows. No good deed is ever easy. When someone is having a hard time and you give them $100 or $1,000, you should make an effort of that much magnitude to advise them to use that money well and guide them to live righteously. That is truly a good deed. When you give a hungry person food, also share the right way of living and guide them. Then that is a good deed. Giving food is not a good deed. Guiding them to the right way of living is a good deed. When nature has made a poor person go hungry, it's because of their pride and wrongful lifestyle, not because of a lack of food in society. When someone is very hungry, they will listen to you well as you give them food. Nature caused circumstances for them to get desperate. So, as you give them food, take the opportunity to change their character. This is a good deed. Your actions make it a good deed. Giving your physical possessions do not constitute a good deed. Material items are just tools to utilize. Does this make some sense?